Have you ever felt stuck between options? So stuck that you wish that somebody else would pick for you, that somebody else would choose for you, make the decision for you. What if I told you, even if you don't decide, even if you don't choose, you are still choosing. Not choosing is still a choice, and it's shaping your reality. Consider this. When I finished my education, I was looking for a job, and I applied at several companies in different towns and different cities. And so I got some answers, and I picked one, and I visited them for the first time, and it was all okay. It was the job I wanted to have, and so on. So I went there, and I started working there. This was not a conscious decision. It was just the first answer I had been getting, and the job was great, so I liked it, so I did it. And I met colleagues, and in this town, I met a girl, and later on we married, and we had children, and so on. What if I would have picked another of those options I had, just by maybe mere coincidence, or maybe another job would be better for me, or I would have thought the other job would be better, and so on. So I would have gone to another town. I would have influenced people there in this town. Right now, with the job I picked, I told you, I influenced my colleagues by just meeting them, working with them, doing things together. We invited each other. I went to their home, they went to my home, and so on. So we had our timelines were just overlapping. And I influenced them, and via them I also influenced their children, their wives, and so on. So every surrounding of them I influenced, and I created light, subtle changes also in their lives. And of course they created light, subtle changes, or even bigger changes in my life. What if I picked another job? I wouldn't have gone to this city. I would have gone to a completely different city. I wouldn't have met my wife, and the children I have right now would be now non-existent. But on the other hand, there would be maybe other children. I would have influenced other people. I would have gotten another wife and other children. Completely different persons, completely different characters. So, and they would have been influencing their surroundings, even in kindergarten and at school and so on, talking with the teachers and doing stuff together, and also other colleagues. So you see, still slight decisions, little small decisions can have a big impact on the world, on the life, on other people. When you are just driving to work in the morning and be nice to somebody and let him pass in front of you, this will make him happy, for example. And maybe if he's a nice guy, he will pass this along to other people and say, okay, this guy was nice to me. It's just some kind of subconscious stuff. So he will be also nice to other people. So we have an impact on reality, on the world, not just on our world, but on the world. So our choices are shaping reality if you just want it or not. And in the end, the likelihood that we are sitting here and I'm talking to you over this video is also very, very little, because there were lots of choices before your parents could meet, lots of choices before my parents could meet, and then you have the very little likelihood of 50 million sperms and lots of ovums, and just one sperm and one ovum combining to create a new life, which is you and I. So very slight chances in this case. So you see, every choice opens one path and closes others. But this is how life is. And that might be terrifying for many of us. So we delay our own decisions. We might feel it. We might feel that there could be some impact on the world, and that the decision, if we make it in the end, could be good or bad. And so we distract ourselves, we procrastinate, we rationalizing our way out of choosing at all. But in the end, we decide one way or the other. Of course, it seems natural that we have some fear, that some fear is creeping up if we have to do some kind of decision. Fear of regret, because if we decide for one thing, we just decide against another thing. This is quite natural. If I decide to go to this town, I cannot go to that town there, because both at the same time wouldn't be possible. In my last video about quantum physics and the amount of possibilities we have here, so infinite possibilities, we talked about probabilities, and the universe isn't fixed, so it responds to observation, to measurement, and to intention. And so this is, in your life, this is quite similar. And it's not only the actions I talked about just a minute ago, it's also what we think, because you remember the double slit experiment there, and so just by thinking, just by observing, you can influence reality. So in your own life, this is quite similar as in quantum theory. The act of choosing or focusing, you can imagine that this collapses your inner sort of wave of potentials. This is just meant metaphorically. In quantum physics, the function collapses there, and here the inner wave of potentials collapses into action. The choice you make becomes your path. And it is now not only a possibility, it now becomes reality. It switches from possibility to reality, and it becomes real. So you collapse basically one possibility into reality, if you would like to use the quantum theory jargon there. But the question here is, why don't we choose? Why do many of us avoid decisions and just do nothing, or try to get a decision from others? Many of us are very skilled in trying to get decisions from wherever, asking them leading questions just to become an answer what to do. Like in childhood, if your father tells you, go this way, this couldn't be completely wrong, so you trusted it. And if you're asking a colleague and just ask some leading questions, it couldn't be that wrong maybe. And in the end, you're not responsible. Or we just, from coins, head is this, tail is this. And or maybe you ask guardian angels if you believe in them. If they exist or not, you can ask them and you get some kind of answer in your head, regardless of what it is. It could be something else, it could be yourself, it could be your inner critic, it could be anything. It's not that easy to decide what it is. So many people, and I also include you and I here, give our life in the hand of other people or other things. Look at horoscopes and so on. Because belief is shaky, because attention is shattered, and because the inner critic won't shut up. It would still produce noise. And we are afraid to take responsibility. Our decision, our responsibility. This is something we sometimes don't like, because if it turns out in a bad way and I make a decision and maybe a couple of weeks later I see, oh wow, this was a wrong decision. I myself am responsible for that decision and not somebody else. But if I ask a colleague, I still can blame him. And if I just threw a coin, I still can blame the coin and maybe throw it out of the window whatsoever. So doesn't it feel much better sometimes if we can blame other people? Many of us feel that way, or other circumstances, or the lack of time, and but not us. But on the other hand, the feeling of self-efficacy is then more or less gone. So what blocks us? It's doubt, it's distraction, it's self-judgment, and it's of course fear, many things. So let's talk about belief first. It's basically the first layer here. Belief isn't just pretending something is true. Belief is not just not knowing. It's being open for the possibility that it could be true, it could work out, and it could be great. And that small opening is enough to begin. And belief is really powerful. I will make some videos just about belief and tell you some stories which are very incredible. So belief is a really, really powerful tool. And belief equals the so-called possibility mindset. Think of possibilities. It is possible. You can do that. And then attention. This is some amplifier for it. What you focus on expands. And when your attention is scattered, your energy is also scattered. Your energy is going there and there and there and there. And so you can imagine that your energy is just spread out and cannot be used as efficiently as if you focus it on one single point, just like some kind of laser beam focused on a single little point and have some really big impact. So what you focus on becomes reality if you believe in it. So attention is basically energy in motion. And one important thing, silencing the inner critic. This voice saying, oh, you will mess up again. And oh, you can't do that. And oh, you hurt your parents telling you're not able to do that. This is not, you don't deserve that. Oh no, this is just for other people. This is for rich people. This is not for you. And things like that. And you know, basically, that this is not true. It is not the truth. What the inner critic is telling you, but you still believe it. You still believe in it. Very, very many people are believing this voice there. It's not truth, it's just protection. It's what we learned, and what we learned, our subconscious would like to confirm it, because our subconscious would like to live in a world that is known, that we know, and if we know something, then this world is safe for us. But real growth doesn't come from protection. It comes from risk. If you don't take any risk, if you don't do a decision that might be risky, then there is no growth. That doesn't mean that you should be risking everything and say, okay, I'm just going to the casino and set maybe the thousands of dollars onto the 17 and just see what happens. This is not meant there. But you have to come out of your comfort zone. And this feels risky. You have to leave your comfort zone. The things you do the same way every day. So the inner critic is just some familiar discomfort. And if you give this inner critic attention over and over again, it'll feed on that. It'll feed on your attention you're giving him. But if you don't give him attention, and if you replace all those sentences he's telling you with other things, with better things, with things you like, and with things that are good for you, then this inner critic doesn't get enough food. He will become smaller and smaller, and his voice will become almost not noticeable any longer, and getting weak, and that is good for you. Still afraid to choose? Why not start small? Choose curiosity over fear. Ask, what would my future self thank me for? You don't need to make a perfect decision, just a real one. We are not perfect, we are human beings, we are not perfect. Nobody makes a perfect decision all the time. Sometimes there is great decisions and sometimes there is not so great decisions, but there's not somebody who is making perfect decisions all the time. And you can ask, is this what I'm feeling right now, fear or clarity? If you have reasons to say, okay, one decision might not be might not be so good and might not turn out so well. Well, then there might be reasons. So if there are rational reasons behind it, just listen to that. That's not your inner critic. But if you're just hearing voices like, you cannot do that without a reasonable foundation, then this should be a sign not really listen to this inner critic. So ask, is this fear or clarity? And ask, where do I feel more alive? So there is no right or wrong timeline. Every choice creates a new set of experiences. Even so-called mistakes move you forward because we learn from mistakes. That is a commonplace, but it is still true. We learn from mistakes, and if somebody pretends he didn't make mistakes in his life, then either he didn't learn anything or he's lying. So quantum jumping doesn't mean skipping the journey. It means choosing to walk it with clarity. Make conscious, clear decisions. No perfect timeline, just the one you choose. Choice is the portal. Belief is the key. And attention is the engine. And the inner critic, this is just static noise. Tune it out. The inner critic, as I told you before, lives just on the energy you give him. And that's all. And it's the summary of what people told you in the past, starting from parents, over friends, over colleagues, over many, many people. And this mechanism is fed by your subconscious mind that is trying to confirm what you believe over and over again, just to protect you. So this is just a normal mechanism. But you could use this mechanism in favor of you or against you. So if you replace those sentences your inner critic is saying to you, if they are not good for you, and if you're feeling that they are not good for you, you can replace it by other sentences. And don't feed those old bad, I just call it bad sentences any longer. Just give this inner critic less and less food till he isn't that noisy any longer. So you can create your own mindset. Create your own mindset. Say, I can, I will. I'm making conscious decisions and I'm trying to make decisions that are good for me and are good for my family and are good for everybody I'm in contact with. Your future is waiting for your decision. If you find this content useful, like and subscribe, and see you in the next video. Have fun and bye for now.